लेकिन उनका जो चलना है वो सिर्फ आप देखेंगे तो चूहे के जैसा है।
Kharge lists martyrs Indira and Rajiv.
देश के एकता के लिए श्रीमती इंदिरा गांधी जी अपनी जान कुर्बान करी है। राजीव गांधी जी अपने जान दिए इस देश के एकता के लिए।
Kharge says, has even dog died in Prime Minister's house?
क्या किए? आपके घर में कोई देश के लिए कुत्ता तो मरा है?
Shocking comment from Yatra stage. Kutta, Chuha, Chor, Chai Wala politics are top focus on 5 Live.
And don't even begin to wonder and expect that things are going to calm down anytime soon. Gali politics very much part and parcel of the political conversation, especially these days, and amplified on social media. I'm going to take you through the top 10 Galis of recent memory in politics. I'm Shiv, this is 5 Live, and these are the headlines. Union Minister Smriti Irani lashes out at Congress Neta who said she does latke jhatke in Uttar Pradesh. Smriti hits out, says real character of Gandhi's is out in the open. FIR filed against Ajay Rai, the congressman. Cracks emerge in BJP Karnataka. Ishwarappa and Ramesh Jarkiholi skip assembly session, demand ministership posts in the cabinet. Bommai denies any rift in the party, even though the divisions are plain for everyone to see. Big development in the murder probe of Amravati pharmacist Umesh Kolhe. NIA probe reveals Umesh was beheaded for backing Nupur Sharma by radicalized members of the Tablighi Jamaat to avenge alleged prophet insult. Remember all those who defended the Tablighi Jamaat. Sensational admission on India Today by conman Sukesh Chandrasekhar says he gave 60 crore rupees to the Aam Aadmi Party leadership for Tihar privileges. He's sending out legal notices for those calling him a conman. He is an under trial, remember. Messi's men return home after spectacular win at FIFA World Cup after 36 years. Buenos Aires Reddies gives extravagant welcome to the world champions. Union Minister and former actor Smriti Irani, never shying away from a confrontation or a fight, has responded by hitting out at Congress leader Ajay Rai, who made a sexist comment on her yesterday. Smriti Irani has lashed out at Ajay Rai, who said that Smriti Irani does latke jhatke and nothing else. She says that the Neta's remarks reflect the true character of the Gandhi family and the Congress party. Listen in to Smriti Irani's reaction.
ऐसा क्यों है कि कांग्रेस के नेताओं को लगता है कि इस प्रकार के निम्न वर्ग के शब्दों का इस्तेमाल कर, गाली देकर, क्यों उन्हें लगता है कि गांधी खानदान खुश हो जाएगा? वो कौन सा कल्चर है जिसको गांधी खानदान ने सर्टिफाई किया है कांग्रेस में? प्रश्न ये उठता है क्योंकि ये सारे बयान, चाहे महामहिम राष्ट्रपति की जी के खिलाफ अभद्र टिप्पणी हो, चाहे मेरे खिलाफ अभद्र टिप्पणी हो, मूलतः प्रश्न ये है कि क्या तरक्की गांधी खानदान तभी करने देगा जब आप इस प्रकार की भद्दी गालियां देंगे? अगर है तो ये गांधी खानदान के असली चरित्र का सही उजागर करने वाला एक अंश है.
So Ajay Rai, despite all the backlash, The man who sparked the controversy by saying Union Minister Smriti Irani does latke jhatke in Amethi is still defiant and says he will not apologize. He's brushed away the whole sequence by saying it's his colloquial language. Well, he's been booked. That's another escalation in a separate, bizarre direction. But here's where things are now, with him refusing to apologize and Smriti Irani opening up a new front.
Cast forever in the form of she who defeated Rahul Gandhi in Amethi. Smriti Irani has found herself in familiar hostile territory with the Congress party. This time courtesy a senior leader from Uttar Pradesh.
स्मृति ईरानी केवल आती हैं, लटके झटके देकर चली जाती हैं। वो निश्चित तौर से गांधी परिवार की सीट है और रहेगी। राहुल गांधी निश्चित तौर से 2024 में वहां की कार्यकर्ताओं की मांग है। हम सब लोग ये निश्चित तौर से डिमांड करेंगे कि वो वहां पे चुनाव 24 में आके लड़े।
A day later, Roy struck to his guns, refusing to apologize, despite a notice from the women's panel and an FIR.
जनता आपको हमेशा अपने बीच में चाहती है। केवल आए और आप घूमकर चले जाएंगे तो उसको क्या कहा जाएगा? उसको लटके झटके ही तो बोला गया है। और उसमें ऐसा कोई हमारे यहाँ क्या भाषा है? हमारे यहाँ बोलते कहा भैया बड़ा लटक के बोलत हुआ, बड़ा झटक के बोलत हुआ। यही ना हमारे आम भाषा ही हमारे यहाँ की है। इसमें कोई असंसदीय भाषा मैंने नहीं प्रयोग किया है।
The Congress too refused to censure Rai and mocked Smriti instead.
आपके ही एक यूपी में नेता है जयराज, उन्होंने कमेंट किया, उसमें उन्होंने कुछ कहा जिसके बाद जो है स्मृति ईरानी ने रिएक्ट किया। उन्होंने ये तक कह दिया राहुल जी पर, सोनिया जी पे हमला बोलते हुए कि मिसोजिनिस्टिक रूल्स।
सुबह सुबह भगवान का नाम लीजिए, कहाँ स्मृति ईरानी जी का नाम ले रही हैं आप? लीजिए, मैं तो नहीं लूंगा।
The attack on the union minister, not just the latest in the Indian political Hall of Shame's predilection with disgusting misogyny. Minister Smriti Irani, always spoiling for a fight, has lashed right back, expanding the confrontation. Picking up the offensive comment and turning it into ammo against Rahul and Sonia Gandhi, first wondering if Rahul commissioned to Ugly Bab as a way to announce his intention to fight from Amethi in the 2024 elections. Then proceeding to taunt him and ask if he will fight from 2 seats like he did in 2019 after it became clear that Amethi was slipping away. And finally attacking Rahul and Sonia directly on a charge of misogyny. By making this about Rahul, Smriti has swatted aside the relatively obscure speaker of the said abuse and projected it as a juicy political tucker with the man she humiliated in his family bastion. To be sure, the Amethi defeat has been a talking point beyond just the Congress and BJP recently.
राहुल गांधी अमेठी से हार गए, मैं जिम्मेदार हूं। नरेंद्र मोदी 2 मर्तबा देश के प्रधानमंत्री बने, किसकी वजह से बने? कांग्रेस की लीडरशिप की वजह से, कांग्रेस पार्टी की वजह से, मेरी वजह से नहीं।
Smriti Irani has proven to be a popular and enduring target for opposition parties. Like this tweet by a Trinamool spokesperson who shared a video from her beauty pageant days to make a point about the politics over Besharam Rang.
When you are doing moral policing, when you are spreading hate, when you are abusing women on their choices of what they are wearing or what not, then your central minister in 1998 in Filmfare pageant wore a saffron bikini. Let me make it very clear. TMC and Riju Datta has nothing against Miss Irani wearing what she is wearing. That's her right, her choice.
The union minister, famous not just for the Amethi victory, but also never shying away from a confrontation, has hit the Gandhis where it hurts. With Yatra Josh in top gear, it's very likely the Congress will be bristling to respond. Staying triggered is the flavor of the political season. Bureau Report, India Today.
Now, the latke jhatke remark by that Congress leader has triggered a full-blown fight over the very sensitive issue of Amethi as far as the Congress party is concerned. A full-blown war over Amethi has been triggered inadvertently by Congress leader Ajay Rai when he took that pot shot, that sexist pot shot at Smriti Irani. Because now the BJP's Amit Malviya, after Smriti Irani opened that front saying, is this a signal that Rahul Gandhi will be fighting from Amethi? Now the BJP's Amit Malviya has taken on Rahul Gandhi and he's tweeted, if Rahul Gandhi is man enough, he should come out openly and announce his bid for Amethi in 2024 and not hide behind minions like Ajay Rai, and he should contest from just one seat. Is he up for the challenge? So a big taunt coming in from the senior leadership of the BJP. First, Smriti Irani talking about how Ajay Rai's comment is basically a signal that Rahul Gandhi wants to fight from Amethi. Amit Malviya taking it a step further and saying, will Rahul Gandhi take this up as a challenge and fight only from Amethi, not like the 2019 election where Rahul Gandhi fought from both Amethi as well as Wayanad, because the sense from the ground as far as the Congress was concerned was that he was about to be defeated, as in fact he turned out to be. Rahul Gautam is live with me on this new face-off that has begun. Rahul, it began with Latke Jhatke by an obscure leader in Uttar Pradesh. It has become totally about Amethi now, with the BJP posing a challenge to Rahul Gandhi and making it about the constituency which he famously lost to Smriti.
Absolutely, Shiv. This row that started with the, these controversial remarks made by Ajay Rai has now taken a political turn with Amit Malviya now daring Rahul Gandhi to declare that he's going to contest from Amethi, and that too alone, not from Wayanad as well. Now, obviously, the BJP clearly knows that the very defeat of Amethi as far as Rahul Gandhi is concerned has been a sensitive issue, and this is something that they've always been pinching upon, given the fact that we all know that Rahul Gandhi is undoubtedly one of the tallest leaders as far as Congress party is concerned, and somebody who's been hailed as the prime ministerial candidate for the Congress party. So obviously the BJP doing this, BJP trying to ridicule him and openly saying that he should come out and declare that he's going to contest and going to take up this challenge as far as Amethi is concerned. Also, I must tell you that as far as Congress party is concerned, sources are indicating to us that it's absolute prerogative of Rahul Gandhi whether he's going to contest from Amethi or not, and this is not something which is to be dictated by their opponents. So you can expect that this issue is certainly going to gather more heat in coming days.
I think the BJP has kind of sniffed that the Amethi issue is still very sensitive. Elections are coming closer, and the fact that Ajay Rai is from Uttar Pradesh, he's taken this pot shot at Smriti as far as Amethi is concerned, and Smriti has just exploded it and widened it into an issue concerning her and Rahul Gandhi. Push aside Ajay Rai, some small fry of the Congress party, and make it about Smriti versus Rahul Gandhi, the big guns from the two parties, as it were. So that's how politics rolls in this country. Here's what Amit Malviya of the BJP, who's tweeted that challenge to Rahul Gandhi, told us just a moment ago.
Well, the Gandhis will not condemn what Ajay Rai has said is because he has said what he has said on their explicit instructions. And this is not the first time that the Congress leadership or their second rung of leaders have targeted Smriti Irani in a sexist and a misogynist manner. It has been happening ever since she took on Rahul Gandhi in Amethi and vanquished him. And she has yesterday thrown an open challenge to Rahul Gandhi that if he dares and if he can, he should come and fight from Amethi and try and win again. So people like Ajay Rai and several other such leaders in the Congress party do this to please the Gandhis. Rahul Gandhi loves when their leaders attack Smriti Irani because he himself is a sexist, a misogynist, but given his position, perhaps he can't take her on directly because he knows he will lose the battle, and so he deploys all these, minions of his to attack her in the worst possible manner.
Will Rahul Gandhi respond is the big question. Remember, Rahul Gandhi is on his Bharat Jodo Yatra at this point of time. Today happens to be Rahul Gandhi's last day in Rajasthan on this yatra. There will be a short break starting December the 24th. Tomorrow they will be entering Haryana. Rahul Gandhi has been speaking to the press, on virtually a daily basis. The question is, will he engage with Smriti Irani and Amit Malviya? Rahul Gandhi has been speaking and taking questions on a variety of issues. To his credit, will he now bite the bait as far as the issue of Amethi is concerned? Remember, Amethi is a emotive, sensitive issue, a Gandhi bastion for decades that he famously lost to Smriti Irani in the 2019 campaign. So now the ball is in the Congress's court. As part of this crossfire, will Rahul Gandhi respond is the big question. So from kutta to chuha to billi to dog mouse level politics, it's the flavor of the season, unfortunately. And you might be wondering why we're covering this crossfire. Well, the fact is, the people saying these things from whichever party happen to be the absolute top bosses. Mallikarjun Kharge, leaders from the BJP, the Trinamool and others, all using language that is not becoming of senior politicians, not parliamentary as we use it in that most ironic of ways here in India, because our politics is anything but parliamentary. Well, reflecting that, chaos and fireworks erupted in Parliament today after the new Congress president called Prime Minister Modi a chuha. Only the latest installment in this constantly renewing fireworks. And not only that, he also drew a parallel with a dog, saying not even a kutta has died in Prime Minister Modi's house, taking the example of how Indira Gandhi and Rajiv Gandhi had died for their beliefs. The BJP has demanded an apology from the Congress president for ridiculing the Prime Minister's contribution to the country. Kharge has refused, but it's not that simple. Take a look.
Nobody said Indian politics was polite. Nobody said Indian politics is subtle or gentle. Nobody said Indian politics was lyrical and poetic. And it looks like the Congress's new president is taking these home truths very seriously.
बाहर तो शेर के जैसा बात करते हैं, लेकिन उनका जो चलना है वो सिर्फ आप देखेंगे तो चूहे के जैसा है.
Designating the Prime Minister a mouse in front of China would seem like a low blow, until you hear Mallikarjun Kharge invoke another animal too to attack Modi.
हमारे पार्टी के नेताओं ने जान दिया. तुम क्या किए? आपके घर में कोई देश के लिए कुत्ता तो मरा है? क्या कोई तो कुर्बानी दी है? नहीं.
The raw ruthlessness of Indian politics gives all such attacks a pass. But Kharge has proven to be especially keen to get his hands dirty in the mission to batter Modi. The BJP, always on a hair trigger to counter-attack when the punches land, has been quick to reply. In the parliament, BJP ministers raised their displeasure over Kharge's remark and urged him to apologize to PM Narendra Modi.
उन्होंने माफी मांगनी चाहिए भारतीय जनता पार्टी से, माफी मांगनी चाहिए सदन से.
ये डुप्लीकेट कांग्रेस, नकली कांग्रेस, दे कैनॉट कंपेयर द लेगेसी ऑफ द कांग्रेस. ये तो कांग्रेस महात्मा गांधी जी ने कहा था, इसको विसर्जन करने के लिए कांग्रेस ओरिजिनल कांग्रेस ही नहीं है.
Like all such barbs directed the Prime Minister's way, the Chuha charge will likely be turned around and milked by the BJP.
भाई कांग्रेस के राष्ट्रीय अध्यक्ष को हो क्या गया है? इस कांग्रेस के द्वारा जिस प्रकार की ओछी हरकत, ओछी बयान, इतना तुच्छ बयान निचले स्तर पर गिर जाएगी, कांग्रेस ये कल्पना नहीं कर सकता है.
खरगे साहब की जो पार्टी है वो सबों को कुत्ता ही समझती है. उनको ये नहीं पता है, इतिहास के बारे में जानकारी नहीं है कि जो हमारी ओरिजिनल पार्टी है भारतीय जनसंघ, वो 1951 में बनी. तो उस वक्त जब हमारी पार्टी ही एग्जिस्ट नहीं करते थे तो वो क्या बात करते हैं?
But it is with the "kutta bhi nahi mara" comment that the Congress president may have taken a step too far, given the emotive ingredients that make up the public view of the China border issue and the concept of political martyrdom. From being threatened with having his aukat exposed to being called Ravan, Prime Minister Modi has had a familiar season of near uninterrupted hostility. Away from another election cycle, Kharge and company clearly feel the need to punctuate Rahul Gandhi's yatra with Modi-centered barbs. Congress netas were seen justifying Kharge's remark.
आरएसएस के तरफ से कौन व्यक्ति था जिसने जेल भुगती, किसने आजादी की लड़ाई में भाग लिया और किसने ब्रिटिश हुकूमत का विरोध किया, वो नाम बता दें।
Congress has sacrificed his supreme leaders for this country. Okay. That is why he told the truth only. Why BJP become arrogant on these things?
But there is a thin line between putting the spotlight on an issue and handing ammunition handily to Modi. Few know this better than the Congress. And yet, Bureau Report, India Today.
So Mallikarjun Kharge has first said Kutta and Chuha and Ravan and all those things, Jhuton ka Sardar, etc. But that was before, during the political campaign, because look at these pictures from today of Prime Minister Modi and Kharge enjoying time with each other, smiling at each other cordially over lunch. That's what politics is in this country, viewer. You know, don't lose your friends, don't lose your relatives, don't lose your family fighting over politicians, because at the end of the day, politics is a profession, it's a game. The abuse, the profanity, all the galis that they give each other are part of the game according to them, because when it comes down to the brass tacks, they are willing to break bread with each other. After all, they're all players in the same political league. That's why we call it the Indian IPL, the true IPL, the Indian Political League. Enjoy these pictures because they tell a story better than anything ever can. First abuse and then khana and smiles. That is the Indian Political League. And coming up next, we're shifting focus from one battle zone, politically speaking, here in India, to a true life and death situation in China, where COVID has finally visited that country with the kind of ferocity that China had exported everywhere else. 1 million deaths are expected in China just this year.
Record-smashing viewership. India Today's double engine had everyone hooked.
We have the most accurate pollster with us. The only pollster picked it absolutely bang on.
Top election team, on ground and in studio. #1 on counting day with Tata Play. And highest average concurrent users on YouTube.
#1 is the 2022 FIFA World Cup final, which saw France fight back hard before losing out on penalties to Argentina as Lionel Messi was finally crowned a world champion.
And in 2022, the world champions are Argentina.
The 1986 final, which also saw Argentina peg back from a 2-goal lead before beating West Germany 3-2, comes in at #2 on this list. At #3 is the 1970 World Cup final, which saw a rampaging Brazil beat Italy 4-1 and Pelé become the first man to win 3 World Cup trophies. Italy's fourth World Cup title comes in at number 4 as they defied all odds to beat France on penalties in a match that is largely remembered for Zinedine Zidane's headbutt. And at number 5 is England's 1966 triumph, which came in a final that saw both teams come from behind before an infamous linesman call decided the game. Sports Bureau, India Today.
Make your media plan smarter with India Today Live TV on your connected devices. Amplify your brand with 100 million smart internet viewers. To advertise, mail us at sales@aajtak.com. Make your media plan smarter with India Today Live TV on your connected devices. Amplify your brand with 100 million smart internet viewers. To advertise, mail us at sales@aajtak.com.
The Prime Minister sending out a big message from India's northeast. Prime Minister Narendra Modi's emphatic message amid the border tussle with China, underlining his government's vision to empower India's border and strive for vikas.
आज नॉर्थ ईस्ट में हम विवादों के बॉर्डर नहीं बल्कि विकास के कॉरिडोर बना रहे हैं, उस पर बल दे रहे हैं.
The Prime Minister, who was attending the Golden Jubilee of the Northeast Council in Shillong, said his government pulled out all stops for development of Northeast. Donning the traditional headgear, the Prime Minister unveiled the sprawling new campus of the IIM Shillong, apart from projects worth 2,450 crore rupees.
डंके की चोट पर बॉर्डर पर नई सड़कें, नई टनल, नए पुल, नई रेल लाइन, नए एयर स्ट्रिप, जो भी आवश्यक है, एक के बाद एक उसके निर्माण का काम तेज गति से चल रहा है.
Home Minister Amit Shah at the NEC meet said that the Modi government has made Northeast beat shackles of terror in the last 8 years, adding the BJP government is looking at ending AFSPA since normalcy is back.
ये 8 साल के अंदर अगर 2014 से तुलना करें तो विद्रोह की घटनाओं में 74% कमी नरेंद्र मोदी जी के शासन के अंदर आई है.
Prime Minister Modi later made a massive Vikas push in Tripura, lavishing funds for the Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana beneficiaries, welcoming over 2 lakh new homeowners. Also unveiling rural road projects, infra projects worth 4,300 crore rupees.
त्रिपुरा अब शांति और विकास के रास्ते पर चल पड़ा है। अब त्रिपुरा में विकास का डबल इंजन परिणाम दे रहा है। मुझे त्रिपुरा की जनता के सामर्थ्य पर पूरा भरोसा है। विकास की गति को हम और तेज करेंगे।
The Prime Minister revealed that his government has pumped in 7 lakh crore rupees for Northeast, compared to 2 lakh crore rupees by earlier governments. Bureau Report, India Today.
China staring at a total COVID disaster. China brushes death and cases under the carpet. China fudges data on the big looming COVID crisis. WHO asks for ramping up vaccine drive. China's COVID spread threatens the world yet again. China COVID, viral chaos. It is truly a terrifying situation for the people of China, because a bungled COVID policy has unleashed the worst of the coronavirus pandemic onto China, the country that exported this pandemic to the rest of the world, killing untold thousands, perhaps millions. China is grappling now to handle an enormous COVID surge, the biggest it has ever experienced since the beginning. And it has mounted even further pressure on the country's already precarious healthcare facilities. And this happened since the government recently, under the rage of protests, lifted some of its stringent antivirus controls following all those public protests against the zero COVID policy. And now hospitals are overwhelmed, the bodies are piling up, crematoriums cannot keep up with the demand. And China, while it faces a terrible, terrible disaster of over 1 million deaths estimated this year alone, it's a threat to the world as well. Take a look.
报不明原因的病毒性肺炎最新情况，目前已完成病原核酸检验，初步诊断有新型冠状病毒感染的肺炎病例40。
3 years ago, China imported the novel coronavirus to the world.
2020年1月1号，已对华南海鲜批发市场采取修饰措施，并对全市公共场所了防。
3 years on, China again threatens the world with an outbreak. Unable to manage the crisis in its backyard, videos surfacing from China speak volumes of the crisis unfolding there and a possible threat it could pose to the world.
When it comes to the current outbreak in China, we want to see this addressed. We hope our Chinese partners, the Chinese, are able to address it.
The US is sending a delegation led by Secretary of State Antony Blinken to Beijing early next year. Even as the WHO hasn't found answers to the origin of the novel coronavirus and made China pay for its misdeeds, the World Health Body has underscored the need to ramp up vaccination in the country.
of concern is China's relatively low vaccination rate, particularly in the older age groups, over the age of 60, especially over the age of 80. There are reports that up to 1/3 of individuals over the age of 80 were unvaccinated.
The beleaguered nation has ramped up medical services and started vaccinations aggressively, even as questions remain on the efficacy of its homegrown vaccine.
The fifth and the last variant of concern, Omicron, as notified by the World Health Organization, is actually the variant that is leading to the surge in China even now. Its lineage BA.5 and sublineage BF.7 is the one that is causing this current surge in China. It has a high infection rate. The Aroor rate is of 18, which means that one person can infect up to 18 people. This variant or this lineage, sublineage has been seen in India already. In New Delhi, Sneha Mordani for India Today.
And Sneha's been looking through all of these disturbing videos coming out of China. Remember, this is a country that has periodically obscured the reality of what's happening. It has permanently obfuscated data of what the true damage of COVID has been on that country. But this time, it simply cannot hide the reality of what it faces any longer, because videos of this kind by a totally angry and revolting public have burst out of the country and are available for everyone to see. Sneha now reports on China's abject failure to handle the pandemic all across the last few years. Crematoriums are overflowing, hospitals are overflowing as cases of COVID, and deaths due to the infection are surging in the country. Even as it continues, remember, to play down the crisis, China still doesn't admit that it has a problem. Watch this report.
Vehicles queuing to enter crematorium in Beijing, carrying bodies, hearses entering and exiting funeral homes, workers in hazmat suits carrying bodies into building for cremation. After 3 years of pursuing a flawed zero-COVID policy, which saw the Chinese leadership inflict the worst kind of torture on its citizens, imposing extremely strict restrictions and not allowing anyone to breathe, China has now reversed its policy, and these are pictures from China right now. Hospitals are filling up with patients. Crematoriums are overflowing right now. The streets are deserted. Weeks after lifting COVID restrictions, funeral homes in Beijing are flooded, struggling to meet up with calls for crematorium services even as infections surge. Officially, China has suffered just 5,237 COVID-related deaths during the pandemic, including the latest 2 fatalities, a tiny fraction of its 1.4 billion population and very low by global standards. There is growing doubt that China's data is not capturing the fast worsening situation on the ground. The country has stressed on the need to vaccinate better. It says 30% of senior citizens are not vaccinated in the country. Beijing has started to now use the nasal vaccine.
我全部接种了，我之前的第1针、第2针加强针，这是第4针吧，都全部接种了。如果舒服的话，肯定还是这种的更舒服、更快捷一些嘛，不用肌肉注射。对，但是可能感觉肌肉注射看起来好像是更正规，安全性更高一些。其他，但是如果效果一样的话，就这样肯定更好。
However, the country's policy of not allowing its population of having any exposure to the infection and developing natural immunity, also its poor vaccination rates, has cost it dear.
In the absence of population-wide immunity from natural infection, this puts a large number of individuals at risk. China's dynamic zero COVID strategy was effective in reducing deaths so far. But the flip side of that is the lack of immunity resulting from natural infection in its population.
On Saturday, these pictures of bodies being wrapped in blankets surfaced. China has told its population to nurse their mild symptoms at home. Medical workers have been going door to door, offering to vaccinate elderly residents in their homes. Questions have also been raised about the efficacy of its homegrown vaccines as the country refuses to bring in vaccines made outside of China. A study published by Nature in May 2022 predicted that in 6 months after China ditches the COVID restrictions, it will see 112 million symptomatic cases, 1.6 million deaths, and demand for intensive medical care 15.6 times greater than the national capacity. A terrible situation for its people who are already at the receiving end of the leadership's failure in handling the crisis it first created. With Bureau Inputs, Sneha Mordani in New Delhi for India Today.
And obviously the terrible truth that the world has learned over the last few years of the coronavirus pandemic is that it may have begun in China, but it is the world that has paid the heaviest price for China's folly. And that's the reason why I want to bring Sneha in on this, because she's been deep diving on this story for many weeks and putting together reports that have been viewed by millions of people across the world. Sneha, how can this fresh crisis in China threaten us here in India?
Well, that's an important question, given that in the month of October, just about 2 months ago or so, BF.7 was also seen in India. But sequencing in India, as in many countries, has gone down in a big way. So we don't really know how this is playing out in terms of the spread of infection in India. Also, testing is down in India. We do know that BF.7, like the other sublineages of Omicron, actually causes mild illness, at least in people who have strong immunity. So that is one solace we have. But we still have to wait for a couple of days, weeks or so. We know that there is an upcoming festive season and a surge once again, even though a minor one, a wave of sorts really can't be ruled out. It's worrisome from the point of view of those people who've not got their vaccines and are compromised in terms of their immunity. So that becomes problematic if there is a surge owing to this sublineage in India as well. As of now, that really isn't something that we're seeing.
And you know, Sneha, most people here in India and across the world, had begun to live a post-COVID life. They were hoping that that was the last of it. We've seen the back of COVID. It's over. It's gone. It's behind us. Now the prospect of talking once again about preparing for another wave, wondering about vaccines. What about protection from vaccines that we already have vis-a-vis this potential highly infectious variant that China might once again, gift to the rest of the world? What's the way forward?
Well, that in fact has been a concern voiced by experts the world over about this particular variant of concern. The very fact that it is in fact escaping immunity provided by vaccines was a huge concern. We saw even in India as well about a year ago in the month of January, February this year, in fact, early this year, that it actually led to the third wave of COVID infections in India, though it didn't kill as many people, but it was infecting. So the reproductive rate is fairly high of this particular variant of concern. And like we've been talking about, indeed, vaccine isn't, providing, in that sense, immunity from the infection per se. But yes, vaccines continue to protect from severe infection. And that, again, is something that we need to look at very, very closely.
Sneha, thanks very much. Keep reporting on that big story. I know it's difficult for journalists like you because very little coming out from China. So we've got to make do with what manages to escape from the censorship clutches of the Chinese state. But that's the way it is. And it's something you can't ignore because this is literally the country that gave the world COVID-19. Now, American Chinese bloggers and journalists have been doing a stellar job in trying to poke holes in what the Chinese government has been saying. And now a new thread on Twitter and social media by another American Chinese blogger includes videos of crematoriums and hospitals like the ones you've seen here today. She has spoken exclusively to India today. Sneha Mordani on the COVID crisis in China in this exclusive conversation with Jennifer Zheng, whose threads and articles have been going viral and widely read amidst radio silence from China.
I'm going to begin by asking you, about your videos. You put out several of them. They've shocked the world. Give us a sense of, first of all, since China is very selective about the information that they put out, where did you get these videos from? How have you managed to access these videos from China?
Yes, I agree. It is very difficult to get true information from China because Chinese media never covers the truth. They create false information for the world. And the number two reason is a lot of foreign journalists in China are also limited from getting access to some of the venues to the true situation. Some of them were even driven out of China or they were denied a visa to China. So it is harder and harder to get the true information from China. For me, as I've been following the COVID situation from the very beginning of its outbreak, so I had basically an idea of where to get those information. Almost all the videos I shared on Twitter were obtained from Chinese social media platforms. Chinese netizens nowadays every day has a cell phone, so Chinese netizens shot those videos and pass them around, share them on social media. But in China, they got deleted very soon. For example, the video I shared about a funeral house in Henan province, Xinjiang city, which was filled with body, was initially posted on Chinese Weibo, but it got deleted very soon. So the good thing is before it got deleted, somebody already downloaded it and shared it on other social media platforms such as Twitter. So basically, I mainly get my videos from social media because I come from China and I have been following the issue for years. So I have a basic judgment to judge which videos can I trust, which ones I should not trust.
Also, through your videos, we get a sense of how the hospitals are unable to manage the situation. They're completely flooded, inundated with patients. Give us a sense of how the situation is in most of China. Is this the situation in many of the districts?
Again, as we don't have official statistics and numbers or reports from everywhere, so we don't really know the situation of the whole China. But from the videos and the social media posts, we know it seems that Beijing and northeast China and the northern part of China are hit most, I think, worst or most hit region in this wave of outbreak. It seems like people in Beijing and in northeast China have much more severe symptoms and much more deaths than people in Guangzhou and in northern part. But of course, I think I also saw videos like in the southwest China, like in Wuhan city, I saw a video of a mother saying she was in the hospital with her kid who had a fever. She said, and that day there were 700 children registered in that hospital, and she had waited until midnight, and there were still over 100 in front of them, and there were only 2 doctors seeing patients. That's why it's so slow. So seems this situation is fairly common, but Beijing and Northeast China is the most hit region from the information what we can gather now.
Do you believe that reversal of the zero COVID policy has led to this situation essentially? And because of this, and also because the Chinese people don't enjoy natural immunity against COVID-19, they found themselves in this mess?
Actually, I don't think the reversal of zero COVID policy is the reason for this sudden outbreak. As far as I know, according to a WHO official, the situation was already out of control before the CCP finally decided to lift the lockdown, because they could no longer cover the fact that the outbreak was already out of control. So it's already got out of control, only we didn't know how serious it was. Of course, I think the reason you mentioned that Chinese people are under strict lockdown and they've never been exposed to the virus, especially they didn't experience, like in other countries, a gradual and process and controlled or more controlled process of gradual partial lockdown and gradual open up. There was
big show on the rift in Karnataka coming up next with Nabila, but I'm leaving you with these fabulous images of the aftermath of winning a FIFA World Cup. That nail-biting final, that hero's welcome, all to boil down to the god of football in bed sipping a drink, and in the clutch of his arms is his beloved World Cup. This is a fairy tale ending like no other. These beautiful pictures of Lionel Messi will leave you all smiles. Messi happily sleeping with the World Cup trophy right next to him. And why not? It took 17 years and 5 World Cups for Messi to finally get this crowning glory moment. Sleep easy, and thank you, Messi.
Cast forever in the form of Shiv, who defeated Rahul Gandhi in Amethi.